Let's get right into it. Number 10. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, but make it worse. Imagine being punished in a way that sounds fake until you remember humans have always been extremely creative when bored and angry. This wasn't one dramatic execution. No. This was administrative cruelty. Slow, methodical, petty. In ancient China, there was a punishment known as lingqi, often translated as death by 1,000 cuts. And no, that's not poetic exaggeration. The punishment was designed to stretch suffering over time, not end it quickly. Cuts were small, strategic, never enough to let you pass out too soon. The point wasn't just death. It was humiliation, spectacle, and deterrence. The body became a message. Pain was a public service announcement. What makes this especially horrifying is that it required planning. Someone had to stand there and think, yes, this is the correct amount of pain for today. Let's continue tomorrow. That's not rage, that's scheduling. Eventually, shock or blood loss would end it. But the psychological torture arrived first, hand-delivered. Basically, this wasn't justice. This was bureaucracy wearing a knife. Number 9. Being crushed professionally. Execution by crushing sounds medieval because it is, and it somehow managed to be worse than you're imagining. The victim was laid flat. A board was placed on top of them. Then weights were added. Slowly, one by one. Sometimes over days, sometimes with breaks. Because efficiency was not the goal, compliance was. This punishment was often used to force confessions. If you confessed, the crushing stopped. If you didn't, congratulations. Gravity just became your worst enemy. Here's the truly unhinged part. Some people refused to confess out of principle, which meant they chose slow compression over admitting guilt. Their ribs collapsed, organs shifted, breathing became optional. This was the legal system saying, we're not touching you, physics is. It wasn't about guilt or innocence, it was about breaking the human will until it folded or snapped. Number 8. Public humiliation as a lifestyle. Stocks, pillories, cages, all designed to punish someone not by pain but by turning society into the weapon. You'd be locked in place, hands and head trapped, completely exposed. People threw food, rocks, insults, sometimes worse. And the worst part? It could last all day, or days. There was no escape, no dignity, just time lots of it, to rethink every decision that led you there while strangers treated you like an interactive attraction. The goal wasn't correction, it was social annihilation. Even after release, you were marked. Everyone remembered. Everyone judged. Pain heals. Public memory does not. This was punishment that followed you home. Number 7. Being slowly cooked alive. At some point in history, someone looked at fire and thought, what if we made this procedural? Execution by slow roasting wasn't about flames engulfing you. That would have been too fast. Instead, victims were placed near a fire close enough to feel it, far enough to survive. For a while, skin blistered, fat rendered, muscles tightened, and all of it happened while consciousness stubbornly stuck around. Sometimes the fire was adjusted. Sometimes breaks were taken. Sometimes food was eaten nearby, which is a detail no one asked for, but history insists on sharing. What makes this punishment uniquely disturbing is that it weaponized time. Every second was a countdown you could feel. Pain wasn't sudden, it was cumulative. And once your nervous system realized what was happening, panic arrived early and never left. This wasn't execution. This was patience with malicious intent. Number 6. The punishment designed to last after death. Some punishments weren't satisfied with killing you. They needed to make a point long after you were gone. Bodies were displayed, heads mounted, remains left hanging in public places to rot. Sometimes parts were sent to different towns like medieval postcards. The message was simple. This is what happens if you cross us. Not just to you, but to your reputation, your family, and your memory. In some cultures, denying proper burial was considered worse than death itself. The soul couldn't rest. The afterlife was compromised. So the punishment didn't end with dying, it followed you into eternity. Justice wasn't content with silence. It wanted an encore. Number 5. Starvation in plain sight. Imprisonment doesn't sound dramatic until you remove food and add an audience. People were locked in cages or cells where they could be seen but not helped. Food was withheld. Days passed, bodies weakened, minds unraveled, and passers-by watched it happen like a slow-moving tragedy they weren't allowed to interrupt. Starvation is especially cruel because it turns the body against itself. First hunger, then confusion, then hallucinations. Finally, your organs start shutting down in the wrong order. There's no violence, no spectacle, just a quiet, irreversible decline. This punishment didn't scream. It waited. Number 4. Buried alive with time to think. Few punishments tap into pure, primal terror like this one. Not execution, not torture, just logistics. Victims were placed into pits, coffins, or walls, sometimes standing, sometimes curled up, sometimes with just enough air to stay conscious for a while. Then the space was sealed. No countdown, no signal, just darkness, pressure, and the slow realization that no one is coming. What makes burial alive uniquely horrifying isn't pain at first. It's awareness. You can hear dirt fall. You can feel the space shrink. Breathing becomes work. Panic spikes. Oxygen thins, and your body desperately burns energy you can't afford to spend. Eventually, it ends through suffocation, shock, or dehydration. But the brain fights until the very last moment, replaying every memory it can reach like it's searching for an exit hidden in the past. This wasn't punishment for crimes. It was punishment for existing in the wrong moment. Number 3. Dismemberment as due process. Some legal systems believed punishment should be educational, which meant removing body parts. One lesson at a time. Hands for theft, tongues for speaking, limbs for disobedience, and sometimes everything carefully sequenced to keep the victim alive as long as possible. The goal wasn't speed, it was escalation. Each loss increased shock, pain, and terror while turning the body into evidence of authority. Medical knowledge was often involved. Where to cut? How much blood loss was survivable? When to pause? This wasn't chaos, it was anatomy weaponized. The body became a checklist, and mercy never made the list. Number 2. Torture without touching you. Not all punishments needed bruises. Solitary confinement, sensory deprivation, constant light, constant darkness, methods designed to unmake the mind instead of the body. Victims lost track of time. Identity blurred. Thoughts looped. Reality softened at the edges. Humans are social animals. Remove interaction, rhythm, and stimulation, and the brain starts eating itself for entertainment. Hallucinations arrive. Paranoia settles in. Memory fractures. Some people broke in days, others in weeks. Some never fully came back. No scars, no blood. Just a mind quietly collapsing under its own weight. Number 1. Punishment as entertainment. The worst punishment in history wasn't a single method. It was the idea that suffering should be watched. Public executions, crowds cheering, families bringing children, pain turned into a show, justice measured in applause. The longer it lasted, the better the turnout. When punishment becomes entertainment, cruelty stops needing justification. It becomes tradition, culture, a day out. And that's the most disturbing part of all. These punishments weren't hidden. They were normalized. The worst thing humans ever did wasn't invent torture. It was deciding some people deserved to enjoy it. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them. Sketchy Logic Explains is an educational entertainment animation channel that explores the truth behind everyday mysteries. I put genuine effort into drawing every single day. It's not easy at all. Please help me with one subscription. It truly means a lot to me. I love you all.